Hello, Internet, and welcome back to Antiheroes Anonymous, or welcome for the first time if it's your first time joining us. I'm Ethan, and I'm the Dungeon Master for this 5th edition Dungeons & Dragons show. Woo! And we have, going around the table, we have 4 lovely players who will now introduce themselves and their characters. And Nick, if you would, please start us off.
I'm Nick. I play Antechamber, a human Dungeons Paladin.
I'm Kay. I play Harmony, who is a Tiefling Wild Magic Sorcerer.
I'm Melissa, and I play Mara, who is a human rogue pirate.
I'm Zach, and I play Hunter, who's a Warforged Fighter Ranger.
So a couple of announcements, and then a recap, and we'll get right into things. We stream every Monday at 7 p.m. Pacific time on Twitch, which may be where you're watching this now. And then we post those episodes to YouTube the following Wednesday. Then throughout the show we use a variety of custom items as well as a custom wild magic table with some options for advanced levels. And then our music comes from BattleBards, TabletopAudio, and Unwanted. You will notice we have new character portraits on the character cards in the top right and also on our Starting Soon screen. And those come from an artist named Carrie Peach, who is fantastic and talented. And you can find information about her and everything else I just mentioned in the channel page, if you're watching us on Twitch, or if you're watching us on YouTube, you can check the video description for similar information. Then if you want to get more information, like when we're going live, when we're missing episodes, or skipping a week rather.
Like next week.
Like next week,
Yeah.
Which is a good segue. We won't have our sorcerer next week, so we're going to skip, because it's kind of a crucial part of the arc, I guess. Right, where was I going with this? Right, if you want info on all of that, you can follow us on Twitter at AntiheroesAnon, and we will post to there with all of that information. Other than that, we hope you enjoy the show, and we'll get right into a recap and get started right away. So, the party learned of the vampire Alkene's scheme to, what Thaddeus' deity perceives as potentially Alkene's scheme to seize the Raven Queen's memories and ascend to godhood. And in an effort to stop that, the group then made their way to Melora's temple in Redwater, where they picked up Eli and Dawn, clerics / divine sorcerers of Pelor, the god of light and the sun, and Melora, the goddess of nature and the ocean, respectively. And then they made their way to Ravenmoor, where they snuck through the back streets on their way to a safe house that they had learned of when they were previously there with Mandus and his orphans. On the way, they happened to see Queen Ixlati, a Medusa queen of the UNT, enslaving citizens in order to build a pyramid, a stone pyramid, over the ruins of First Light Orphanage. They then went into the sewers in search of Alan, one of the orphans they had previously known here before, who they had learned was helping refugees there. Upon arrival, they met with a guard captain named Jeremiah, who explained the dire situation of the city as well as the refugees in the sewers. And it wasn't long after learning the situation that the group became aware of a group of undead that was approaching the settlement and attacking the forward guards. And it was at that same time that Jeremiah's wife Helen went into labor. So Dawn and Thaddeus helped to assist the birth of Helen and Jeremiah's child, while the rest of the party rushed to fend off a horde of vampire spawn. And then, having settled that and safely delivering a young baby girl into the world, the party decided to finally take a well-earned rest in the sewers before making their way to the Temple of the Raven Queen under the guidance of Alan the Orphan, in order to hopefully find whatever form the Raven Queen's memories take before Alkene finds them himself. And so that's where we're going to pick up, with you guys sort of coming to rest, or to consciousness after a long rest. A very fretful and uncomforting long rest, though it may have been, because you're kind of still situated in this sewer nexus where you really can't escape the smell.
Where I collapsed the...
Yes.
Oh, wait, did you say that?
Nope. but that's a good point. You did collapse the only entrance into this place before taking your rest, with the intention of clearing it out on your way back out. But yes, it's not a very peaceful, or well, it is a peaceful rest. It's not a very comfortable rest. But if you come to consciousness afterwards,
Can I, before sleeping, work on my disguise self hat? The
Yeah, you can
fancy
try it.
hat that I bought.
right, the one with the ostentatious plume.
Yeah,
Sure.
but Tides of Chaos was crying.
Okay, so just roll your
Yes.
Arcana check at disadvantage.
Yes.
Maybe I shouldn't do it though.
That's what I was saying.
Up to you.
Yeah, I don't think you're gonna need it anytime near the same.
No, it's okay.
Okay, I'll pass. Never mind.
Okay.
Does my point of exhaustion go away with the rest?
Yeah, so the things that will go away with the rest that you guys may have or may not have accumulated are a single point of exhaustion. So if you have more than one will linger. But if you have just one point of exhaustion, that goes away. Any reduction to your strength score will go away, as well as any reduction to your hit points. I think those are the three things you will have encountered up to this point.
Also, my AC went up temporarily.
Your AC went up temporarily? From what?
Can't remember, but I added one to it.
Wasn't that
The
your new
armor?
armor? That's not temporary, that's as long as you're wearing the new armor.
Yeah, that's the new armor.
Yeah.
Okay.
The armor that you took from
Remember,
your
this
Nestle forever.
changed, wait.
Yeah.
That was not a bad thing, that was a good thing. You're keeping that.
Yes, it's gorgeous, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
So, I guess the question is, should I expend the magic of my amulet to create a door through the rubble, or should I just use my telekinesis to move the rocks back out of the way?
Move it back and forth. You just cover it back up again after
I could,
covering it. Telekinesis sounds like a drop.
but then how are they gonna get out?
Do they need to get out?
They're gonna need supplies and stuff, aren't they?
I say just unblock the way. It was unblocked before. Might as well just leave it that way.
Right, but like,
Dawn chimes in when Thaddeus says that. That brings me to a point that I was thinking about bringing up before we rested, but it's probably more relevant now that we're thinking about unblocking the passageway. Are these people safe here? It
No.
doesn't seem like it.
I don't think we should take another rest until we've finished our job, or at least until we get in. At least until we kill this queen.
So, also, as everyone kind of wakes up, Hunter is working on a ritual. And what I'm doing is I'm resummoning that, but you guys see it as like I'm making like a shrine.
Yeah, what does it look like? Describe it to us.
Yeah,
Since
so
this is kind of out of character for a hunter up to this
yeah,
point.
so I'm just like laying out a bunch of things and sort of building like a little shrine that you see, and it's sort of like maybe to pay homage to something. And so I've been working on that for the past 4 hours or so.
What does the shrine look like?
It looks very nice.
I think probably you would have had to scavenge materials from what's down here in the Nexus, so you would have found like candles of assorted colors.
Yeah,
and
I think there'd
heights.
be like candles, maybe incense, and like
You've had to like scavenge bits of crates to build.
like wood, and
Some
wooden
structure.
structures and things like that.
And then
So
maybe
and maybe like burning a couple things or something. So and some like talisman writings and stuff like that.
how long is it gonna take?
Another 4 hours.
Are you kidding me? We don't have 4 more hours to just sit here and wait for you to finish your ritual.
Certainly, there's something else we can do in the meantime.
Can we keep doing that while we rest?
I was doing it while we rest. Yeah.
well, if Hunter has to finish this ritual, this is Dawn speaking. If Hunter does have to finish this ritual, I guess that leads to the conclusion that you could just unblock the entire passageway since we'll have the time.
Yeah.
I'm still a little bit unsure whether it's safe or
I
not.
don't think it's safe. That's kind of why I wanted to build the door, because at least then they'd be able to lock it.
Do we need to consider if we should be thinking of a way for these people to get out of the city?
I think that's better than blocking the way because I guess that is
I
Katina
can
because
always-
it wasn't here.
I can always unblock a different way, one of the other tunnels that was collapsed.
I think either way you're creating an entrance in.
Like
Well,
my
it's true, but I mean for them to get out in a way that is different from
Unless it's a new passage that nobody knows about yet.
Can I have Eli say something? Because Thaddeus wasn't there for the fight.
What are you thinking of?
That I don't know, because you can't block up like the entire wall. Like they can just climb around or up over anything. Like either we are gonna leave these people to suffocate, or you know.
So what if we built like a big gate for them along the wall? You think we can do that in 4 hours?
Yeah, Eli pipes up and says, Harmony, is that something that your magic would be capable of? Could you create like a barred gate out of stone or something like that? With a workable door? Or I don't know, anything that can just sort of bar the way in without blocking off airflow?
Let me consult my memory.
Well, you're good in carpenter's tools, so if you get it part way, I can finish it.
Thanks.
Anything would be a good blocking mechanism. Anybody give a tinker's tool?
If I'm
busy.
I'm busy.
If I'm using the rocks, I can change the rocks into some kind of a passageway, but it can't be any bigger than, say, under. I can't make like a huge, like, gate for the entire corridor. It would be big enough for one man to walk through.
Okay, well that's gonna have to be except we have to, if there's any way to make the rocks solid on either side, then you have a spell that would melt like melt rock into solid. Is there such a thing?
Eli says, not that I can do, personally. But, and then Dawn speaks up, but I do think that if you can create just a doorway that maybe a single person could go through, that at least creates a choke point for any future attacks.
That's what I was thinking. Like, that way at least they still have a way to get out if they need to, and if people come in, it's not like they can get rushed by a big horde if they're taking the door.
I think that would be our best option, personally.
I do
Eli
agree
kind
that
of
they need
nods,
to get out of the city, though.
You can see that Eli's a little bit out of his depth with this strategy talk, so he's kind of like nodding in agreement with Harmony, but isn't really 100% sure what would be best.
Was Jeremiah kind of in charge, or was he just in charge of the guard?
He was just kind of in charge of the guard. You could roll a perception check to see if you, through the time you've been here, perceived who was maybe in charge of the entire group.
So that's the homeless guy.
19.
Okay. What you notice?
Yeah. Honestly, it was the...
What you notice through your time sort of watching the dynamics of people in this nexus is that there's basically roughly 3 or 4 groups of people. There's the Kenku and the homeless man who approached you earlier, and they kind of keep to themselves. But you can see that even among them, the homeless man kind of takes like a leading spot in that pecking order. Like when some of the Kenku will go to like, you spotted a couple of them, they'll go to like try and steal supplies from the crates or something like that. The homeless man will like screech at them and get them to like scurry back to the group. And then there's the guards, who you know Jeremiah is sort of in charge of. There's the orphans, who you know that Alan has kind of taken a leadership position among. And then there's just sort of like the general common folk, who don't seem to have any sort of leader per se. They just kind of are in this space, mostly just cowering. Like they don't seem to be doing anything in particular other than consuming the resources that Alan brings them and cowering.
Okay, I'm gonna grab Jeremiah and Alan.
Okay.
And I'm gonna say, look, we are gonna try to solve this problem, but I need you to come up with some kind of an escape plan as a last resort. I'm going to make a door so that you can get out. But Alan, you know these sewers well, yeah? Do you?
He nods.
Do you know if you can sneak groups of people out of the city without being detected?
Well, either way we go, we're gonna have to come up out of the sewers at some point. That's the problem. I mean, I know the back streets of the city better than probably anyone here except for the other orphans, but it's hit or miss.
So we'd have to take out the flying things.
That would be a big help. If there were no eyes in the sky per se, it would be easy peasy to get out into the forest. And Jeremiah kind of like nods along with this, and then says, going back to your earlier point, I'm not entirely sure that we can create any sort of exit out of here, short of uncollapsing one of the tunnels we've already collapsed.
Which, if you were going to create an exit, which direction would you like it to be in?
He sort of thinks about his map, mental map of Ravenmore.
Oh, of course. And we think about the mental map of Ravenmore.
And he says, well, the snake people are concentrated in sort of the southeast quarter of the city, with their leader taking up night's residence in the northwestern quarter. So probably either the southwestern or northeastern quarter of the city would be the easiest section to escape from.
We're going to the southwestern border.
I'll look at Alan and say, which of these is better for you? Do you know a straighter path out of the city from either of those points?
Let's see if Alan can think of anything. He kind of thinks for a second, and then you see his eyes light up. And he says, I don't actually know where a better way out would be, but I do know a place we could hide. You remember you a while back when you rescued me from the forest, from those spider creatures?
Yes.
You cleared out their nest, right?
Yes, we did.
Well, I mean, that's in the forest to the southeast.
That's true.
It'd be right in the right direction.
But there was a lot of Yuan-Ti paraphernalia there. Are you sure it's not one of their home bases?
I mean, you can see the idea is kind of like, he hears what he says and then his eyes kind of like go down a little bit. Yeah, I guess that's true.
Are we all
I
present?
suppose you could send a scout to check.
We could always check it out.
Because if we're all
You're doing
present,
your ritual.
You're
Yeah.
doing a ritual. You are not present for any of this.
okay, that's fine.
You're tied up in a ritual for 4 hours. I don't know if we can swim around all of them. Right.
I think you can. I think we've checked on this before.
Yeah, we've checked on it every time. It's items you can't scry on, which is weird. You can scry on a location.
Ethan, how many arrows can I make in an hour?
You don't have time to do anything. You are
It's
tied
another
up.
thing that we check on every time.
Instead of targeting a creature, you could choose a location you've seen before as the target of the spell.
That's what we start with.
So I could scry on it
I want to play one
and
more.
see if it's safe.
Mhm.
That might be a safer way to do it than anything.
It's a new morning. Miracle.
Yeah.
Going to do that?
Okay, I'll do that. I'm
I could
sorry.
send my little snake, but I don't think it can go that far.
Yeah.
And I haven't been there.
This
No,
is faster.
It's easier if I do it.
As you are setting up the ritual to like peer into the scrying orb, Eli is just sort of watching over your shoulder the entire time, quietly, but like, and sort of reverently, but curiously. And as you draw your focus into the orb, which maybe takes a little bit more effort since Eli is so close, I guess.
No, I feel like I'm like eagerly showing you what I'm doing.
Okay.
Like, oh yeah, you haven't seen me do this yet.
As you
And you're just kind of like peering into the glasses, like you can really see faraway places through this.
Yeah, it's pretty incredible.
That is really incredible. I mean, I can't imagine. And he's just like looking into it from different angles, like trying to see if he can see anything in it. But as your attention is drawn into it and then pulled up above the forest, and then rushed away in a flash of colors like you've experienced many, many times before. It's finally drawn down to that location which you recall, which was this glade in the center of the forest, or more like a clearing in the central, or in the depths of the Darkbow forest. And in the center of it, there's this almost like marble white stone structure of a snake's head with fangs and all of that, just basically carved out of the ground. And you can see that there's still webs draped here and there, and you recall your first time entering it, there were like dead snakes nailed to the roof of the structure and things like that, and those are all still there. But as you sort of, the scrying sensor forms and you look around this area and sort of begin to move the scrying sensor bit by bit into the temple itself down familiar pathways. Roll a perception check.
Okay.
And your potted plant memory remembers.
I did miss the beginning of it.
Yeah.
10.
There's still, as you make your way via the scrying sensor down the stairway that eventually leads to that open hall that was filled with UNT-shaped statues, sort of showing the progression of transformation from human to these snake-like creatures that you've now seen in the flesh. You don't spot any life other than mundane, normal-sized spiders. And they're not in the same like swarm quantities that they were before, which were actually proved very deadly originally.
Right.
They're just here and there, since there's still this plethora of webs and things like that. You'll see spiders, maybe they get as large as like a gold coin or something like that, but nothing bigger than that. And that's all you see.
Okay. So I'll say it to Alan. It looks clear. There's still quite a few spiders, but they're only about that big.
He kind of cringes a little bit.
So you might have to do
with the
some
memory.
extermination, but nothing quite as big as what I do.
I think your guards would be fare better against the spiders than they would against the zombies and vampires.
Yeah, he kind of looks up to Jeremiah and says, "Look, I'm really not good with spiders anymore at this point, so that's going to be on you." And Jeremiah just kind of like pats him on the shoulder and says, "We got this."
Okay,
But then he does say one more. Alan does say one more thing. He says, "I guess if you don't see any more of the snake people there, it's possible that they might come eventually. But if you're hoping to clear them out in the next few days, we can at least try to escape the city and hole up there for a day until we can travel through the forest, perhaps.
Okay.
Maybe towards Northwood."
I'll try to send a message to you to let you know how things are going.
Okay, sure. I'll just be waiting for whatever signal you have. If things aren't going well and you can't defeat the Queen and liberate the city in a couple days, send a message and we'll move on to Northwood. But if things are going well and it looks like you're going to be able to achieve that, then send that and we'll come back.
Yeah, I'll let you know either way.
But first I gotta get you to the temple, right?
Right.
Yes.
But they'll have a hard time doing that if I don't make the door first, so.
Well, that's true.
This one, right? Like walk up to the, what was it, south, did we say southwest?
South.
South.
No, west.
Southwest?
Southeast is where the pyramid is. You don't want to go there.
No. So I'll go to the southwestern tunnel.
Okay.
I'll like have Jeremiah show me which one. And then
Yeah, and even Jeremiah is a little bit disoriented at this point because all of the tunnels kind of look the same. They're all collapsed. There's nothing really to indicate one direction from the other. There's no sunlight or anything like that for him to judge by. And so it takes him a minute, but he figures out which one he thinks is probably the correct direction.
Okay, and I will use my amulet to cast Fabricate. 6 charges.
Little one.
Yeah. And I will make a door, a stone door that has a lock on the side facing the.
Okay.
Like
Just
for
roll an intelligence check as you're doing this, and that'll sort of determine how quality your lock is. If someone were to try and pick it, perhaps.
21.
21. Okay. Wow. Very good.
With like Mara
I
there,
think
like
You rolled a
that's
natural 19.
I think Hunter's helped you make locks before, so you
Yeah,
kind of recall that information and channel that into your fabrication as you meld the stone before you
your
into
inner
the shape
like
you
that's how
desire.
you do it. You're like,
Yeah, and when all is said and done, you have a door that locks on the inside.
All right, and then I'll look at Jeremiah and be like, "Bet you didn't expect to see that, did ya?"
No, I can confess that I 100% did not expect to see that.
Next time you'll have more faith in us.
He kind of gives you a quizzical look and says, "Oh, I have utmost faith in you after yesterday."
I just pat him on the shoulder. And I go back to get the others.
And you kind of leave him as if you almost like maybe had a little bit more praise for you than you wanted to say, but he goes back to his tent with his wife for the time being. And at this point, Hunter, you still have probably like 3 hours left.
yeah, 3 hours left probably.
I'm gonna ask Dawn, do you want to come with me to guard the entrance while we wait for him?
And she kind of stands up, cracks her knuckles, and says, "Yeah, it's better than sitting around doing nothing."
I agree.
Yeah, and the two of you can sort of head to the gateway where there are 1 or 2 guards posted, but there's only about 8 guards left down here, so there aren't many posted at the time. And they kind of, as they see you coming, they stand up. They were kind of like slouching by the door a little bit. They stand up straighter. They just sort of like give you a quizzical look as you come, wondering if you're taking their place.
We're here to reinforce you.
And they say, "Okay, excellent.
We won't be leaving for some time, so we want to make sure nothing happens before we go."
That's very reassuring. Thank you. And while you're there, why don't you go ahead and roll a perception check at advantage with Dawn's help.
Oh, pretty good. 20.
20. Inside the sealed door, there's not much, you can't really see anything, but you can still hear the tunnels beyond occasionally, and you'll hear from somewhere far off in the distance, you'll hear an occasional splash or something like that. Sounds that indicate that there are, despite the circumstances, still some creatures, or you'll hear like the skittering of small footsteps or something like that. There are still creatures living in the sewers, but out of sight and kind of out of sight with the door. So.
It's okay if I will go around and look for my rat.
Yeah. Roll a perception check. You go around kind of just shouting, "Pinky! Pinky, you here?"
She's like giving squeaking noises.
8. It hit my pencil.
At one point, you're looking around the crates, figuring that if Pinky's there, it's going to be with the food. And at one point, you do see like a little round, fat rat butt kind of like sticking out of one of the crates and it's wiggling back and forth. And you grab for it and pull it out. And as you do, you just are holding a squeaking, bewildered, normal rat who just then attempts to bite your hand.
Okay.
And misses.
Critical hit.
But he's just been struggling in your hand, trying to get away.
This one's got all his head.
Yeah.
No.
Do you want to do anything with him, or just kind of throw him back into
The food.
the darkness?
Yeah, I will set him down and let him go.
Okay, he skitters off into the darkness.
Okay, okay.
Anything else from anyone, or are you just waiting for Hunter to
Yeah.
complete a ritual?
I feel like for the last hour, Harmony's just gonna sit in front of Hunter's ritual table and stare grumpily at him.
Like the
Oh,
call
Completely
before the
ignoring.
storm.
Like, I wish you had discussed this with us before you started it.
As you're watching his ritual, you watch as the flames from the candles eventually leave the candles and almost like back away, and instead of the warm orange light that they were projecting when they were on the candles, they transform into these blue spheres of fire almost that just flicker endlessly. And 9 of them go out and form a circle around the area where Hunter is approaching the completion of his ritual. And as his ritual
Oh,
comes
sorry.
to
Never mind.
as his ritual comes to a close, you watch as one of the fires flickers out entirely, and then the rest of them coalesce in sort of like the central area of the ritual. And when there's like a bright flash of blue light, and when that light fades, standing there in its place is the white tiger with the stripes that form the Elderhaven Reaches, the key word for prince on the forehead. And Hunter, as you kind of look into its eyes, this newly resummoned creature, you see that it has these striking like blue eyes. Or at least, usually I think they were green before, but for a second they look blue. Almost as if they're made up of 9, like a wheel of 9 blue flames, and you watch as one of them flickers out, and there are 8 flames left.
Oh no!
And then its eyes fade back to green.
Okay. Alright, no. So it comes back and I address it and I'll pet it.
It kind of purrs up against your leg.
And apologize. I'm sorry. And then I guess we're ready. Okay.
Are John and Eli coming with us to the Raven Queenstone?
I think they should. I don't think we should separate at
I
all.
think Alan was planning to take us there, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That was the plan.
Okay, let's go.
Okay, then with the passage unlocked, Alan takes the lead and begins to guide you through the sewers. Mara, you do spot a couple rats along the way, but none of them seem to have the open brain cavity, or at least not from the glimpse you see before they dart back into shadows.
And have the charming visage of my Inky.
But Alan guides you to a similar area to where you enter the sewer. It's sort of like an upright structure in an alleyway off of the streets, and it has a lock on the front side. This one is kind of rusted, and it basically is falling off its hinges, and you can push the door open easily without even picking the lock. And beyond, you can just see basically the dingy, dismal, empty streets of Ravenmoor before you, which might once have been filled with beggars, but are now empty. And at that point, Alan says, look, okay, so if you just go a little bit more west from where we're at now, you should see in the center of a grassy field a large cathedral-like structure. You really can't miss it. It's the biggest structure in this area. And I think you can get there safe from here. So I'm going to go back and start seeing about getting everyone ready in case you can manage to somehow take out some of the flying creatures and we can actually leave here. So,
Alright. Let's not bother cloaking ourselves as we get up. Maybe we can draw some attention.
You want to do that before or after we finish our objective?
Either way.
I mean, maybe we should get there quietly and then attract the attention once we're in.
Yeah, I'd like to at least get there first.
Alright.
They're not going to need a distraction right away. It'll take a while to get them ready to go, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah. So
I'm ready for all
just don't move until you see the dragons being pulled away.
okay, I mean, I'm just going to go get everyone ready and wait for it. Sounds kind of safe. So, and he darts back into the shadow after giving you kind of a nod of good luck as well. Okay, then why don't you guys make a stealth check?
I would love to. Oh boy. Okay.
I'm gonna do my. Which one is my word?
You can beat this.
Well,
Oh man.
I know,
Look at that.
right? I got a nat 20 and then a 9.
It's okay.
Nope.
Are we all at
Still
disadvantage?
I got a nat 20!
Are we all at disadvantage?
No,
Yeah,
just
that's
just
them because they have
And
20.
also Dawn.
Yeah, we have heavy armor.
Sorry, 20.
Must be
22.
nice.
Nope, sorry, mine's 7. It's not 9.
7.
5. Oh, Yako
and then
I rolled a
Tiger.
natural
The tiger,
20.
yes.
That's worth anything.
Does he get advantage on stuff? I don't think he does. I think he's done
He's just good
perception.
at it.
He's very good at it, though. That's for sure.
17 with a 5.
Wow.
Seventeen.
Thank you, Max.
Okay, as you are making your way through the streets, you find your way into an alley, and you basically make your way down that dark alley until you get to the edge, and then one of you in metal armor sort of bumps into something or trips and sort of falls a little bit over the edge of the alleyway into the street a little bit before anyone has sort of had a chance to peek around and look to see if there's anything there. And you hear from a little ways down the street, sort of to the right of where you would have exited the alley, you hear a sort of like a hissing yell. What was that? Did you see that? I saw something! And you begin to hear footsteps coming this direction.
Back.
I'll cast Minor Illusion. The sound of a cat yowling and like a can being knocked over and but across the street from us.
Okay.
Like going the opposite direction of us.
So go ahead and roll I guess just a deception check.
I'll help you.
How are you going to help?
How?
Moral
I mean, if you can justify it, sure.
16.
16? Let's see.
I know that Teal sounds.
No.
Yeah, exactly. If it fails, that's what happened.
You
Sure,
make
sorry,
that sound
Alan.
like a metal can or something like that being kicked, and then the cat yowling. And you hear from the direction that the voices were coming from. You hear a voice say, "You there, go check out that sound. The rest of you, with me, this direction. I swear it came from here." And you can't really see which direction they're splitting off into, but it's clear that something is still coming this
Do
direction.
we have any
That is
indication?
sword out.
No, is there anywhere to hide or another path that we can take?
There are houses you could try to duck into that sort of border this alley. They might be locked, they might be unlocked.
Mara,
You don't
unlock
know.
this door right now.
You've got probably seconds before I
Do
get
it.
here, so roll a thieves' tools check.
10.
Reliable
10 plus,
teller.
10
It's
plus.
like you didn't have something.
Plus dex plus proficiency.
Dex plus proficiency.
So a 19.
14 plus, yeah, 19.
Is it even locked?
That's the lowest she could ever get on a lockpick check is a 19.
Yeah, you definitely insert the lockpicks just really quickly, whipping them out from wherever you have them stored. Definitely insert them, turn the tumblers real quick, and the door clicks open. And you can sort of, as you push the door open, you can see a dark interior, but looks relatively empty.
Alright, I'll tell you when.
I sit at the window so that I can cast another minor illusion if I
I'm
have
gonna
to.
douse my sword.
Okay.
Yeah. Everybody get in the shadows. But I'm gonna be like right next to the window.
Yeah, Dawn and Eli duck in. Dawn keeps her hand kind of on her mace, but she doesn't draw it because if she does, it will get light.
How big is the house? Like,
It's a small house, and you find yourself in kind of like a modest kitchen, where there's a fireplace with a pot in it, and there's a small table with maybe 4 or 5 chairs around it. But it's all kind of in a tussle, like something happened, like there was some conflict here, or some people left in a hurry or something like
probably
that.
that cat that yelled.
I will give you all another stealth check.
Mhm.
This time all of you are at disadvantage.
All of us are at disadvantage even though we're inside a house in the
Yeah,
shadow.
they're looking.
The UNT also rolled a natural 20 on its insight check against you, Matt.
Are you
Oh, wow.
What? This is the second nat 20 I rolled. This disadvantage.
I know, I have a good roll too. Your disadvantage.
Oh no.
Oh no, you rolled me.
I know. 5.
Wait,
You can even with disadvantage, the lowest you can roll
Yeah.
is
Yeah.
not proficiency.
Okay, never mind.
So she got an nat
That's
one.
right, she's not proficient.
She got a nat one.
Okay.
Well, this
Uh,
turns into
This
something
one
better.
is bad.
What is
looks
that
like
out to, though?
going
I'll
back.
take the charge this
5?
time.
We're at 10.
I got a 5.
I got 11.
13.
And the tiger?
Oh yeah.
19.
But that's a disadvantage.
Oh. Oh no, 15!
15.
15.
And let's see some perception. Okay.
I should have, my stealth should be canceled out because of my boots.
Oh,
Wait,
yeah.
what do you have?
Right, you have boots that
That's
give
just
you advantage, right?
Regular.
Yeah.
okay, so roll one.
Roll,
Roll
roll
one.
once.
Yeah.
Yeah. Magic items.
Not much better.
It's not a natural 1 though.
Not
No.
much better.
What is
8.
Okay.
Better than 5.
Well,
Um, would you believe that with the DC set by their perception check to search for you, that shifted the balance of the group stealth check? And now instead of 4 failures and 3 successes, you have 4 successes and 3 failures. So you,
Great.
Harmony, kind of peeking up with your little tiefling eyes to look out the window and sort of see what's going on outside and keep an ear out on the situation. You see and hear figures enter the alley, and then you kind of have to duck down and lie up hearing. But you hear them beginning to sort of like run down the alley and look for sources of the sound. And as luck would have it, you hear as a cat runs across the alley in the opposite direction. And the snake-like figures who you saw enter the alley, the one who seems to be in the lead, who kind of has a scimitar drawn, turns to the rest of them and says, "It was just a cat after all. Nothing to see here. Let's move on." And they exit the alley after maybe just a few brief minutes of searching. The perception check for the URT was a natural 1,
Oh my god.
which put the DC at 6.
Wow, that's great.
5.
Cool. And so yeah, after a few minutes, the danger seems to have passed, and you see Eli maybe actually like breathe for the first time in a few minutes.
Yeah.
Good work,
Maybe,
Mara.
maybe the loud clanky one should be at the back this time. Come on, Alan.
Well,
Oh, Alan's not with us. Never mind. No, come on, everyone.
Yeah.
No, it's not me.
But it blocks what to add to it.
Do we kind of know where we're going at
Yes,
this
plus
point? Have we seen
Oh,
the
I
spires
see,
in the
yeah.
giant structure?
Yeah, that's what I was going to get to. As soon as you kind of step back out into the alley and actually get a look at the road that you're crossing and what lies beyond, you can catch a full glimpse of what is probably the structure that Alan was talking about. Even towering above the rest of the houses and things that are clustered in this area, you can see this massive, very Gothic-style set of cathedral spires. Actually, there's 2 towers that seem to extend maybe like 100, 150 feet above the rest of the city, and underneath that, maybe like 50 feet below, you can see like a steepled roof of this structure. And at this distance, you can't make out details, but there seems to be like ornate statuary and things like that that decorate the entire edifice of the roof of this building. And you're still quite a ways off, but it's a clear heading at this point that that's where you're going.
Let's go.
Yeah.
Let's go.
You make your way in that direction, the danger having passed for now. You sort of keep your eyes on the skies, and occasionally shadows will fly above you, but you take those moments to sort of lean back against the walls and things like that, and make your way there undetected. And you find yourselves outside a rusty iron fence that just culminates in nasty-looking spikes at the top.
Does it look easily manipulable? Malleable?
Malleable, no. You could potentially climb it, but there is also, you can see not very far off, a gate into this grassy field beyond. Most of the grass is dead at this point, sort of scorched by the summer rays, but what you can make out of the grassy field is that it is pockmarked with stones and statues, and you can see that it is very clearly a graveyard. And then,
This wasn't the church that we were under before was?
No, that was a smaller structure and it was
But
outside.
it's outside of
town.
Gregorian.
Yeah.
Is the gate locked?
You make your way over there, kind of still stealthily watching the skies. And no, the gate's not locked. But you can see that there's actually some writing above the gate, sort of in the iron itself. You don't speak Elvish, do you?
I do.
One of us does.
Thaddeus, as you get up close to it, you can read, I think maybe Dawn can read Elvish as well. Any of you who can read Elvish can see that above the iron gate in iron-worked letters is the phrase, "Hold no pity for those who die, for death is the natural end of life."
Let's go inside.
You sort of make your way across the open ground as quickly as you can. But you hear, sort of as you're getting maybe like 100 or so, maybe 150 feet away from what you can see right now at this point is that you're getting close is a grand entrance made of heavy-looking wooden doors into this temple, and you can also make out like stained glass windows that sort of dot the structure itself. But as you get close to the door, you begin to hear heavy thumping sounds coming from the area behind the temple. And as you're sort of slowly creeping your way towards the door, you see coming around the temple and almost like just climbing slowly over the gate into the graveyard itself, a hulking, undead-looking creature. It is maybe 12 feet tall and maybe 8 feet wide, but it has vaguely like human-like limb structure, and it seems to be almost impaled. Its entire body has like swords and spears impaled into it, and you can see that stuck onto those swords and spears are bodies and bodies of humans and things like that. And as it creeps over the fence and sort of stomps heavily, almost in your direction, I need everyone to sort of make a stealth check.
Oh boy.
This is the third nat 20 I have rolled on a disadvantage.
I'm so sorry, Nick.
It's the third time. Stealth rolls.
Eli rolls exceedingly.
I'm gonna use Chance of Chaos. Yeah, better.
What'd you guys do?
I got a 5, and then the Panther got a 22.
17.
17.
I got a nat 20, but also.
That's okay. Okay. Let me check this creature's passive perception. I don't think it notices you.
Huh? Did you do well?
No, orange is the best today. Using orangey.
Then I'll use this.
This one's the timeout.
Guess you don't need this one anymore.
Some dice jail.
Dice.
The group of you
That's back to the
duck behind a large headstone, actually a set of headstones that's here, and you've managed to sort of peer over the headstones without this creature seeing you. And you see as it approaches a pit in the ground and begins to pull the bodies off of it and unceremoniously chuck them into the pit, one at a time. And there's almost like, you can see as it does this, it kind of turns and pulls bodies off of different parts of it and throws them in. And each time it throws in a body, you can hear crows and ravens cawing from nearby.
Are the bodies all like civilians? Like,
Yeah, some of them look like they're wearing guard armor, some of them look like they're civilians. There's a wide array. Some of them are Kenku, some of them are human. But as it is doing this, you observe as it pulls off the body of an old man, and you can hear, even from here, a "Ah!" sound as the body screams. And he says, "No, I can still work!" And then the man is chucked down into the pit. And you can hear screams from him as he says, "No, I can still work, let me out!" And you can hear the sounds of scrabbling at the edges of the pit wall. And then it continues throwing bodies down. Maybe 4 or 5 more before it seems to have no more bodies impaled on it. And then it begins to push a mound of dirt into the pit.
I'm gonna hold Thaddeus back because
Yeah.
I can see his
Yeah.
impulses to run out there.
Everyone else roll a perception check.
Is it just?
Ooh, nat 20.
I got an 18.
Okay. Both of you see that as Harmony puts a hand on Thaddeus, Dawn is also reaching for
So I'll
her
grab
mace. And she's kind of struggling against you. Roll a strength check.
Athletics or just strength?
Athletics.
26.
Yeah. She's struggling fiercely, but you manage to sort of quell her down, and she's just like looking like wide-eyed at you, like, we have to help.
Don't worry, we can help when that thing's gone.
That man is still alive.
I know. Shh.
And the thing just keeps pushing dirt on top. And
Wait for it to
gradually the man's screams become muffled. And after maybe 5-10 minutes, the creature seems satisfied with its work and stands up to its full maybe 10, 12, 15 foot high height and ambles back the way it came, climbs over the iron fence, and stomps out of sight.
Mm.
When it's gone, I'm gonna run out there and use telekinesis to dig a hole.
Okay. Roll a Arcana check using your charisma.
Which I think is what I normally do. Okay, charisma. Oh, okay.
No,
25.
25. So actually, yeah, pretty quickly you're able to get out there and shovel dirt efficiently using the telekinesis. Maybe you rip up like a gravestone and use that to shovel.
Right, right.
And you manage to unearth this old man who seems to have just dirt filling his lungs, and he's just...
And then I gesture to Thaddeus.
I'm gonna spend a little bit of lay on hands to help this guy.
Okay, how many? Like
5.
5 hit points?
I like to imagine I just kind of give you this after
Is that
you.
kind of just like as you pull him up out of the grave?
Yeah.
There you go.
And he comes up and he's like, Who are you? I thought I was dead.
Well, if you were going to die, this would be the place for it.
I don't think this is any time for jokes, young man.
If this isn't time for jokes, then what is?
I'll tell him, don't give up on yourself.
He looks at Hunter and almost like jumps a little bit in surprise at what he's seen, and then just looks back at the rest of you. And he jumps as he recognizes he sees Harmony and like recognizes what she is, and then kind of looks to Dawn and sees the holy symbol on Thaddeus, sees the holy symbol on Eli, and just says, "You're a very strange crew.
Yes.
Yeah, we are.
I'm as good as dead anyways, though. You might as well have left me."
Listen, not far from here, there is a wood with a, what was it?
Oh, in the forest?
In the forest.
A cave. It used to be inhabited by Ettercaps, but we cleaned it out. It's where everyone's going to hide.
It's your best bet if you can make it there.
And he kind of like gestures to himself. I'm old and frail. If I leave, and he gestures to the sky. Those creatures, they'll get me.
For now, let's just get inside the temple.
Yes.
I'll be safe there.
Maybe.
We don't know. We haven't been inside.
Safer than you were down in that pit.
Well, that's absolutely true. Lead the way.
Here, dust off and get up.
What's your name?
Yeah.
It's Matthew. I haven't. And he's sort of walking with you as you approach now the temple doors. I don't suppose that you have names. As my rescuers, it'd be great to know.
Sir, Thaddeus, am I?
Oh, and his eyebrows go up and gives a little bow. I had no idea I was in the presence of...
Wait until you... And Thaddeus looks at Dawn.
She just kind of looks at him and says, "It's Dawn."
I'm Harmony.
Hunter.
And Eli introduces himself as well. And he kind of gives each of you a nod of thanks as you approach the door, which you can see are these big, heavy wooden doors, dark wood, with sort of like iron handles and hinges that you can see are rusted but still functional. And to the left and right of the gate, you can see that there are 2 lanterns, which both glow with a pale white light. And the old man says, I don't know how much any of you know of the goddess of death and her ways, but
The clerics often light these when they foresee times of great death.
And he kind of chuckles.
I suppose they'll be lit for some time.
What a morbid god.
It's supposed to guide the souls of the dead to the queen. Or so they say. I only know this because I buried my wife many years ago when she passed away. But that's neither here nor there. Let's get inside.
Yes.
Uh,
Thaddeus opens the door.
As you open the door, you are greeted by a... It's very dark in here because the skies outside are dark at the time being as well. Even though it's daytime, it's still that almost like twilight darkness, which you saw when you were first arrived here. So the light that would ordinarily be streaming through the beautiful stained glass windows is just not streaming through here. And you're greeted by a massive entrance hall, down which a black floor runner runs into the darkness and out of sight. But you can also see pillars that go to the very, they sort of line the hallway and go to the very top edges of the ceiling. And as you close the door behind you, the old man says,
This isn't particularly welcoming, but if you think this is safer, I'll wait here for now, I suppose.
Stand in... I think Thaddeus has got his sword out by now. Stand in the center, away from everything.
Okay.
and he goes forward a little bit and kind of off towards one of the pillars and just kind of sits down there.
No, not there. Not there. That's
Oh,
not, that's
okay.
not good. In the middle, away from anything.
All right.
He goes sort of in and sits down on that black floor runner carpet
Alright. good
in
time.
between two of the pillars.
I think Thaddeus is worried about shadows.
I see. And as you sort of, do you light up your sword to sort of illuminate?
Yeah, I mean, that was the first thing.
Dawn pulls out her mace as well to illuminate the immediate area.
Once the door is closed.
And as you do that, you can see that the room is that they're actually rooms adjacent to this massive center area that are separated by like iron bars, and you can just see darkness beyond them. Sort of as you're standing in the center, you could go closer and illuminate them and see what's in there. But you can see even from where you are, you can see maybe 4 of these entrances off to the sides that are blocked off by iron bars.
I think now that the door is closed and everything is more or less secure in here, Thaddeus is going to start praying. Give us him to guide him to what he's in charge to find. And he's going to cast him with the object.
Oh, okay. Let's say roll a religion check, since it's not an object you necessarily know what it looks like or what
Yeah.
it is. We'll just see if the Sanahen will sort of aid your attempt to look
Oh, not
Not
bad.
bad.
It's a 15.
It's not +0.
Yep. I think we established a few episodes ago. that
Oh yeah, you and Don
neither
both have
Thaddeus
+0.
nor Dawn have any religion on
Oh,
this.
that's great.
I thought that was medicine.
No,
it's also religion.
It was religion when they were making holy water.
Dawn has medicine bonuses.
Oh, yeah.
She doesn't have religion.
That's right. We were making holy water.
That's funny.
As
Making
your
holy
prayer,
water.
the words of your prayer echo throughout the vast halls of this place, and your spell takes effect, you initially don't feel anything, but then you hear a soft, reassuring voice in your head that says, I can't guide you to it exactly, but what you seek is here. And then there's like a brief flash of reassurance, like divine reassurance, but then that all fades because you're technically unable to locate something that you don't know what it is.
Yeah. The good news is that it is here. I know it's here. I just can't figure out where. So, plan B is next, and then plan C is going to be hard. And I think that is pulled out from the couch a little bell, and like hesitantly rings it.
And it echoes throughout the chamber, just sort of bouncing off the walls for a few moments, but nothing seems to happen for a brief moment until you hear a voice echo from the darkness beyond the edge of your lights, and it's almost a still on a player's handbook. It's a sort of a grating metallic voice, but a voice you've heard before, and coming into the light, just the very edge of the light, you recognize, though in a slightly different form, the metallic body, complete with metallic tentacles from the chin of Kuor, the illithid mind flayer who you fought before. However, in this new body, since you recall slaying him in a Warforged body once before, in this new body, he has taken the size and the physical strength and physicality of one of the larger Warforged. And he appears before you and he's holding on to, Mara, you're the first to spot this, a rat which has its brain cavity exposed, and he's sort of petting it, and he says, I knew that you'd be coming, and it was only a matter of time. And then he sort of releases the rat onto the ground, and it runs towards you, and you can hear it in your mind, hunger, 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 feed me, hunger.
Thaddeus looks at Carmi and says, what was it I was saying earlier about how nothing we kill ever seems to stay dead?
However, the rat does not fully approach you, Mara. It gets maybe like 15 feet away from where the group of you are standing, and then it seems to run headfirst into something that isn't there. There's like an invisible wall blocking its path. And the rat kind of like looks around confused, and you can just hear it in your mind saying, confused, hungry, food. Can't get food, hungry, food. And Kuror kind of surveys the group of you, waiting for a reaction.
What's your part in all this?
Oh, my part in all of this? Well, none yet, but hopefully some soon. And he sort of, his eyes settle on Thaddeus, because Thaddeus has been the one to kill him twice so far. And he says, rest assured, I don't want to fight right now. And though I've heard what you're after here, fear not, it doesn't entice me.
Well, that doesn't... I didn't think that the eyes had any interest here.
Well, that just goes to show how little you actually know about us and what we stand for. Well, I should say what Orin stands for.
While they're talking, I'm gonna walk up and tap my staff against.
Yeah, it clatters against an invisible wall.
I mean, what Orin stood for, right?
The Warforged core that stands before you. Are you okay, Zach?
Yeah, fine.
Is your nose bleed?
Yeah.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's because it's really dry.
I'll just go on.
Yeah,
Let me know if you need to stop.
I'm good.
Okay. He chuckles and says, "No, I said what I meant."
Hey, I dropped out.
So we'd heard.
Really?
Really?
New body.
What?
Yes.
Like
So
a big hole in the body.
And he had the rat.
Oop, you okay?
everything's fine.
Where is it?
Here's
Tripping
Core's new
over.
body if you want to take it.
Tripping over shit.
Oh
Oh
gosh.
shit.
Oh my gosh.
Poor Kevin, he had Pinky.
Oh, is it another Warforged body?
Yeah.
He says,
And it was
No.
a Warforged
I
body.
think that. Oh, okay.
I think actually our interests here align quite a bit. You and I.
We'll never work for you.
Not for me, but I'm hoping in this instance with you. You
Go
see,
to hell.
he chuckles again. I thought you might say that initially, but allow me to speak. It's not as if you have anywhere to proceed at this moment anyways. And he sort of gestures towards the invisible wall.
I hit it again with my staff.
It's still there.
It's still there.
He says, as I said, you've proven that you don't know anything about the eyes of the world and what Orin and his people stand for. To me, they're a convenient tool, but to you mortals, you weak-minded and pathetic mortals, he should be a savior. Surely you've noticed, with the Assembly of Eight gone and their lack of apprentices, magic in this realm is dwindling. And magic was all that kept you from the monsters, the dragons, the fiends.
You are us. You're one of the monsters that it kept us from. We saw the ruins down in the tower.
He raises his hands in sort of like resignation. He says, "Yes, but I am the last remnant of my kind. I was left behind. I don't have a horse in that race anymore, so to speak. So my intentions are for me alone. But Orin's are for the betterment of the world. You see, magic is all that kept the monsters away. Perhaps you've encountered beasts that haven't roamed the land in many years. Dragons, orcs rising up and taking slaves." And he's kind of like looking around for any sign of like recognition that you've encountered these sorts of things. And I think he probably finds it in a few of your faces. And he chuckles then to himself. Unwanted, the snake people, vampires from the Shadowfell. You need magic to defend against these things. Without it, you're lost. And Orin is only trying to preserve it for eternity, to defend you, to stop the spirits, he looks at Hunter, from killing the people of the Elder Haven reaches.
Doesn't he already done that already?
For the most part.
We don't want to align with the spirits.
Why would I want to align with someone who's destroying my homeland?
He's possessed by the spirits.
As a means to an end.
I know, right?
Kind of sound like Spook.
Yeah,
Exactly.
That's
we're back.
I know. I'm sorry.
And Or goes on and says, as I said, a means to an end. But that said, we received in the capital word of the city's plight. And I have ships full of Warforged, ready to help. We just need the proper opportunity to strike. And that's where I think you come in. If you could see our ways aligned for the time being.
We will never work with you. Take your Warforged and get out of here.
How far away from you is he?
He's maybe like 20 feet, 30 feet away, but there is definitely that visible wall of force.
But I can see him.
That's true, you can.
So I'm gonna get my sword out, and I'm gonna Misty Step over to him.
Okay. Just let me check one thing. Need to look at the wording of the spell. I think you can get through it. Yeah. So you begin to incant your spell, and as you do, he flicks his wrist and says a few arcane words, and you find your spell fizzles.
Counterspell this counterspell?
If you want to, yep. So you then flick your staff and say a few arcane words as well. Is Tides of Chaos primed?
Yes.
Okay. And Thaddeus, you appear before Kulor on the other side of the wall.
Alright. Round 3, and Thaddeus strikes.
Okay. Well, then we're going to need to roll initiative at that point.
Oh, we're fighting it?
Yeah.
Okay. What triggered the...
That is Misty Step
Teddy
through
is
the barrier.
Misty Step through the barrier, and I'm rolling Tides of Chaos.
Okay. So everyone else is on the other side of the barrier, right?
Everyone except for Thaddeus is.
Yeah, okay. So, physical, have we tested if physical objects pierce it in any way?
Nope.
We have not tested that, or they
No,
can't?
it can't pierce it.
Okay, sorry.
Hold on. Okay, 61 is my magic, wild magic.
Steps away from heart.
I will look at that in just a second. Would someone roll for Dawn and Eli for me?
Yeah, I'll do that.
Yeah, 61.
Here's your initiative card, by the way.
Oh, yeah, fine.
Oh yeah, I have to roll my initiative too. Cool.
you running, or was one of you rolling for Dawn?
I'm doing it.
Okay,
I don't know Dawn's initiative modifier though.
I've got Dawn then. No worries.
I know. Hold that.
Yeah, you can hold your action. I don't have this spell manager. Sometimes I keep the reserve and take it.
Do you have Eli's spell?
Yeah, I have.
So then,
I'm split on 100 Dagger.
Alright.
I think we will Peter of Divine this way.
Okay.
Did you get my,
I'm not even sure else to fun. Sorry.
I'm alright. It's a lot.
Are you sure you're alright?
Yeah, this is really heavy this time.
It's kind of spot.
What? I don't know. For my head.
Yeah.
I've never tried that before.
You repeat
Enemies and fates, everything around there.
I've always just did that 20 after I tried them.
It's just
Yeah.
since it's dark.
Okay. Mara, you see Thaddeus appear on the other side of the wall, just directly in front of Cora, and you are the quickest to act. What would you like to do?
Can't really do anything with the barrier up.
I can take you to the other side.
You can. Okay, let's go.
You think this hurt?
Sure. You have to figure out where it's small.
Let's go.
I can't. You have to wait for my turn. I can't take you right now.
Okay, I'll hold my action until I'm on the other side of the wall.
Okay, what are you holding it for? Throw a dagger?
Yeah.
Okay. Thaddeus, then as you begin to hold up your sword and prepare for a strike, you hear sounds coming from the darkness.
By the way, my wild magic,
Oh, right, mild magic. Let's sort that out first. Sorry.
number 61.
Says the old man.
Okay, interesting. So it's not immediately apparent what has happened with Harmony's magic, except that she's kind of still surrounded by the bright light from Dawn's mace, and an area around her just kind of dims a bit. But then, Thaddeus, you hear sounds coming from the darkness, mechanical sounds, and you see flashes of red light, and I need you to make 2 dexterity saving throws. Matthew's not going to get it. Thank you, though.
Alright, 2 dex. Not my strongest suit, but decent rolls. 15 is low.
And what was the higher?
21.
Okay. So both of those pass. So we're just going to do this. Laura's going to have to make the saves as well.
Oh.
You take 25 points of fire damage as balls of fire streak out towards you and then explode in a similar way that you've seen Harmony do. And sort of illuminated in a brief flash of light, you can see standing behind Core are 2 Warforged with heavily modified bodies. You can't tell immediately what all of their features do, but clearly they both just threw fireballs at you. So let's make 2 saves for Core, and he fails both.
Nice. At least we got that from Laura.
I wonder if he's maybe he'll fail his concentration check on whether the stupid magic this is.
Hey, that would be nice.
Let's find out. Oh, actually, he has advantage on his saves. Oh, but he still fails.
Oh god.
Let's check
I
out
say
his
it's not
magic.
his strong suit.
Yeah.
Are you bad luck for physical things?
Yeah.
It is.
I didn't
Uh,
mean to,
He succeeds his con saves. And you watch as the fire recedes, and you can see that some of his cloak has burned away, but his metal plates appear almost like hardly touched. Then it's Eli's turn, and Eli, not really knowing the effects of the wall of force, throws out a bolt of cold energy that kind of hits the wall and dissipates against you. Then it's Hunter's turn.
So it's a wall of force. Have we? Sorry, with my back and forth. Did we establish how to get rid of it, or what effect it might have now?
Nope.
Okay. After watching Eli try, I mean, I guess I'll just set my bow and hold an action to shoot core
Okay.
toward an enemy when the wall goes away. If the wall goes away.
Then, if that's all you're doing on your turn, spending your action, it is Kuor's turn.
Didn't he just go?
Kuor? No, that was the Warforged behind him.
Oh, okay.
That shot the fireballs.
Ah, gotcha.
Right. He is going to. He speaks a quick word, an arcane word. That is, what are your current hit points?
81.
81. You feel intense pain rack your body, and it almost doubles you over. And you're not immune to being charmed.
No,
Okay,
that's
so
good.
then it still works. So your speed is no higher than 10 feet.
I don't get a save on this at all.
Nope.
Wow.
Are subjected to power word pain. The target then has disadvantage on attack rolls, ability checks, and saving throws, other than Constitution saving throws.
Is that a concentration spell?
Nope, it's an instantaneous effect. And then, if you attempt to cast a spell, you have to succeed a Constitution saving throw in order to do so.
Okay.
So you are just doubled over in pain, and then it is your turn.
Did you
As
get
he-
a surprise attack?
No, Kor was pretty ready for this.
Yeah.
But Kor, as he says this power word pain, you kind of double over in pain. He says, "There, how does that feel?"
How much HP do you have? Did
No,
it take damage?
It's just kind of, it racks you with pain.
Oh,
but
I see.
doesn't do any damage.
I think that is because you were the enemy before, and you will always be my enemy. And he's gonna use his valid enemy,
Okay, so that would cancel out your disadvantage.
Yeah. and then make 3 attacks. A natural 20
Oh.
and a 21.
Okay, so I'm going to assume, I mean,
Is
they're
that like
both
your
hit,
fourth one today?
Yeah.
Yes, it is.
but it's the first one that's counted.
Yes.
It doesn't matter.
So
He's
is it a
rolled
double
4
roll?
20s.
Yeah.
I'm going to assume you're pouring Divine Smite.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Oh.
Then while you roll that dice,
Where is my?
just go ahead and look at that.
Oh, there should be one here.
No, I mean my phone, which has how many dice are
Oh, I see. I've got like an actual calculator. Old school.
Oh, I have a TI-89 and a TI-83 arcade.
I think I'm gonna do the most because I have to get this wall of force
I have my fingers and toes. Pour everything.
Yeah. So this is gonna be 1 hit. Is he kind of undead or is he constant?
He is currently in undead.
Nice. That's more than
It's weird because it's not fully, technically,
Four.
yes.
Oh, okay. How many d8s?
There's no like half construct quality, so he's technically undead.
I need all these.
Okay. Just take them all.
Okay, let's see.
And there's just kind of this slow motion shot where Thaddeus is bringing down the sword, gritting his teeth through the pain.
Okay. This is 17 cold damage,
Okay.
and then we're gonna do radiant.
It does need to be something.
Okay. This is pretty good.
How many d8 did you roll?
16. No. 18.
18 d8. And here we thought you bought all of the computer for me.
No, I need more.
Clearly.
This is like a slow motion shot of Thaddeus
Yeah.
bringing down the sword on the Warforged Mind Flayer, whose tentacles just kind of move in slow motion.
Action shot.
This is hard.
Like this.
10, 20,
I don't have a battle map, but you can't see that.
Oh, okay. We can see it though.
74 radiant damage.
74, okay.
Nice.
He can't make that concentration. So.
Oh,
You
yeah.
can't.
Okay.
No, alright.
Yes. Well.
I can always give them back.
That's only
so
one attack, right? Don't you know?
Oh, you're right. That was only one attack.
Oh, I thought you combined it.
No, that
There's
was one
a
attack.
big flash of light and Core recoils from the damage. Then another swipe comes up and hits Core again.
Not as great. This is 15 cold.
Not as great. Of course it's not as great.
Yeah.
15 cold plus 3 radiant.
Just 3?
Does the barrier drop?
Yes, but you have no way of knowing it, because it's invisible.
Oh.
So to your eyes, there is a big flash of white light.
Could I, with Eli's dissipated spell,
I'll let you
miss
roll
through?
an Arcana check at disadvantage
Okay.
for the quickness of the situation.
Sure. Oof. Probably not. Yeah.
Let's say you're looking for a DC 12. No, not quite. So yeah, you have no indication that the wall of force is dissipated at this
Right.
moment, unfortunately. Yako.
I was gonna
You're
have
so
him.
low, you're the last one.
I know, I'm always at the end.
I was gonna have him try and like claw at the wall and see if he can like get any damage on it.
He can.
So
Because you don't know it's down. You don't know it's down, and then that would be the
Yeah, if
indicator
Yako
that
runs
it's down.
up and claws at the wall,
and like just passes through.
then you would see that
And
there's no
then I
wall
can
there.
take my shot.
Your shot.
Okay. So he's gonna make an attack at the wall, misses, and I'll make a shot against 4. And I'm gonna use. Let's see. Where's the bug spring? Here somewhere. Okay.
However,
Yeah.
sorry, I keep forgetting. At the end of Thaddeus' turn, Core is going to make a tentacle attack against him.
I think that doesn't reaction.
I keep forgetting he does this. It's going to hit with a 19 plus 9 for 28.
Yeah, I can't shoot.
So I need you to take a grand total of 7 psychic damage. As his tentacles kind of wrap around you and his psionic nature invades your mind. Then I also need you to make, and you're grappled by that, I need you to make a intelligence saving throw.
Oh boy.
At disadvantage, right?
Actually, at the end of your turn, you get to make a constitution saving throw to see if you're in
Oh.
pain.
And this is not a disadvantage.
Right.
Ooh, pretty good. 21.
That'll do it. So
Alright.
this is just a regular saving throw, and the seeds.
Yes. 19.
Ooh, 19 just succeeds.
Yes.
So you
Succeed all over.
You escaped the punishing effect by the current type fail.
Oh boy.
But you are grappled by its tentacles.
I think that is just smells. It seems to be going much the same as rounds 1 and 2. Or
Then it's Dawn's turn.
Wait, you skipped Yako.
Yeah.
Hunter.
Oh right, Hunter makes his
Hunter.
attack.
Does a 21 hit him?
Does.
Okay. How about a DC 15 for telekinesis for strength?
With his bolstered physicality, he does make that.
But
But
still
just
not
barely.
damage.
Like you pull him an inch or two, but then he footprints, like he digs in his feet.
And I'm gonna do a goading attack on him.
Okay.
Just shoot it right in the mandibles. He has to make a DC 19 Wisdom saving throw.
It's not magic, so he doesn't get advantage, and he fails.
Okay, so then he has disadvantage on all attacks against other targets other than me until the end of my next turn.
Okay.
And he takes
Nice.
8, 22 magic piercing damage. That is my held action. Almost Harmony's turn.
Harmony's after Dawn. Who is going to...
Matthew.
He'll
do it. He'll do it.
Yeah, she's just gonna run forward and she's gonna make 2 attacks with her mace. Oh no. Well, 1 hits. Some bonuses because he's undead.
Would your whole action go off too? The walls down?
Held action.
Her held action is waiting for you.
Yeah.
I was planning to get her inside the wall, but
Then that is super critted.
Dawn goes in and tries to like wedge herself between Thaddeus and Core and starts battering at him with her mace.
We can get bludgeoning.
He has the same that you do.
I know all about that.
He's not weak to that. He
I
just
know.
doesn't resist it. Then at the end of Dawn's turn,
How much damage did she do?
14. Some of it being radiant as her mace kind of explodes with light as she pummels into his chest. And then at the end of Dawn's turn, he will turn to Hunter.
Oh,
Sorry, one to
do I need to stay here for a second? I got it.
He will try. Yep. He begins to speak a quick word and casts a spell you can't counterspell. at the moment.
well, the counterspell at the beginning was before the initiative started.
I can counterspell.
That's
So I
true.
technically haven't
I'll allow
used
it
my
if you want
reaction. Yeah, I'm gonna use counterspell.
Okay. You can see almost forming near Hunter's face, or his throat, is like this skeletal hand. And as it forms, you can't your counterspell and it fades away. Then it is your turn.
Cool.
You get your action.
And I get my reaction back. Nice. Alright, I'm gonna say, Mara, the wall is down, do your thing. Does that count as triggering her?
Does it,
Trigger?
unfortunately. Because her reaction is when you grab her and bring her forward.
Can I just grab her arm and pull her forward? I'm sorry.
She's gonna go like next, I think.
Yeah,
She's
that's
next.
true. She's next. I'll be like,
That's okay.
well, looks like you don't need me anymore. And I'm going to cast Cold Monster on Core.
Okay, what's the DC?
It is 1,000,000.
It is a wisdom.
Hold on.
It'll be elegant.
It's a wisdom and the DC is 19.
He has a 25.
Shit.
Jeez. Calm down.
And as you begin to cant that spell and you see the begin to take his limbs, he kind of like cracks his robotic neck and you hear the whirring of gears and he says, "You'll have to try harder than that, child."
Okay, then I'm going to speedy spell and I'm gonna banish him.
Okay.
Wait, am I gonna get banished with it?
No?
No.
Why would you get banished
I'm
with him?
grappled.
What type of save is banishment?
Charisma.
He has a 23 on that.
So even if I rolled a 4,
You're not gonna make
it would still be 19 and you'd still pass. I just wasted 2 spell slots, Ethan.
You're fighting someone who's very good at fighting magic.
it. That is true.
Man, I'm just gonna kick something and then
And
back up.
Matthew's right there if you want to keep
I'm not gonna kick Matthew.
Don't
but
kick me!
It's tempting.
Hunter's also right there.
Matthew has actually left his position in the center of the carpet and ran to cower in the corner.
Yeah, I would imagine.
Yeah, I'm gonna back up and I'm gonna pat
Just
Mara
scream.
on the arm as I back up and go, "It's all you, babe!"
And as Harmony comes up and pats you, you step forward and it's your turn, Mara.
Okay. So here we go.
Sure you can.
Because he's ready.
Yeah.
Yay.
Oh, I thought
I'm-
you said that.
I'm right next to him.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, you were thinking about whether
Other
we
stuff
had
and
a stealth round or a sneak round.
Okay.
Surprise round.
So what are you doing? Are you running up or are you throwing it down?
I'm gonna throw it.
Okay. This is the lightning dagger or the wind dagger?
Let's see, force or
I would throw the lightning through the
No. The wind one is better to throwing though,
Oh,
right?
yeah, because it
They're
comes
both
back.
magic.
Yeah.
It comes back.
I think they're both magic.
I just wondered if a Warforged might be like.
She
at
can't
least
throw
I'm not.
both.
Yeah.
Like, maybe not offhand.
The offhand has to be a melee.
Oh.
Okay.
That was something that we looked up earlier. We were like, Bax did it wrong the whole time.
What was he double throwing?
Yeah.
Alright.
Oh, that's
Pretty
good.
good.
So 28.
Yeah, that hits. Which one is this?
15.
Okay.
Sneak attack. 7. That's 1d4, 1d6.
You are beginning to
That's,
see
wait,
the effects of
7d6
the
is
damage
your
that you're
stealth
rolling
sneak
into
attack?
take effect on his metal body.
7.
Mm.
And
That's
then I get
7.
1 for the.
You have 6, 7. Thank you.
Feels good to roll a lot of dice.
Yes, okay.
Oh.
Points.
29.
29.
Plus,
Okay.
did you have your?
Yeah.
Oh,
Is it
34.
Is it all?
It's all magic.
It's all
It's
magic
all
and some of it's
magic.
force, right?
Magic piercing.
You said it, what was the total?
34.
Some of it's forced.
And as that dagger cuts into his body, it exposes like the chest beyond his robes, and you can see that it kind of cracked into a tube that you can now see illuminated by the light of the lightning dagger, as well as Thaddeus' sword, contains 2 or 3 brains. It's just kind of this tube of water that is in his chest, and then it begins to pour fluid forward as the dagger goes in.
Nice.
And then are you going to bonus call it back to you?
Yes.
Anything else from Mara?
Well, it says when I use the disengage action because of my cutting action.
Mhm.
You don't
You know you do that.
I'm not up next
You're not
to
up
it.
next to him, so there's no
Well,
need for
it
that.
just says it's pushed 10 feet.
But yeah, you're not melee, so disengaging doesn't do anything.
Okay. That's it then.
Okay. Then it is the 2 Warforged turn, who then come up next to Thaddeus,
Oh no.
and you watch as their swords, they draw 2 great swords, which both light on fire.
Oh my gosh. Wait, they both draw 2? So
Well, they both draw 1 great sword.
Oh my gosh, I was like,
Not 2. And it's going to make a bunch of attacks.
Sure.
So bear with me.
I'm pretty sure I'll be shielding this, but let's see.
So let's see. First attack is a natural 1. Second attack is a 17. Third attack is the 20. Do math. 21.
Alright, I'll shield.
That's one of the Warforged. Next one is a 22.
Alright.
Next one misses, and the last one also misses. So they just come up and start railing into you with their swords, but unable to gain any purchase. And there's just flames wreathed around Thaddeus. Then
Eli.
it is Eli's turn. And now he wants to do something. I can give you that's actually.
and the dragon.
He will try to cast that grasping Earth Claw, to get the claw of Earth to come out of the stone temple, and try to get that to ensnare Ward. He passes.
Yeah. Ward's good at that.
The claw just whiffs past Ward. He somehow, despite grappling you, like pulls both of you out of the way of him.
Wait, by how much was his saving throw?
quite a bit. It was 16 plus cools. Hold on, let's save this.
If it was a lot, never mind.
Is it
Well,
more
I'll double
difficult
check
or
to be safe.
I want to save my reaction. Anyway.
probably good?
It's a strength save. So for core, that is plus 4. So that was a 20, and Eli's DC is 16.
So I would.
If you rolled a 4, you could put it down.
Just 16.
It's still 16.
Yeah, that's what I
it'd be
said.
just DC.
Then it is Hunter's turn.
Alright, time to load full of arrows.
Yeah.
Here we go. So I'm using a scope and sharpshooter, and we're gonna go to town with this guy. That's a. Let's see, each one is a +8. So that's 25 to hit on the first one.
I just remembered that he can cast shield, but it's not going to help on this in this case. So he's not going to do it.
So he's not gonna do it.
So that hits.
Okay. That's another 25.
Hits.
That's a net 20.
Okay, yep, all of those hit.
Okay, that's my first 3 attacks. Let's see if he lives. So on the nat 20, I'm going to do the bowstring.
Well, I would have. Did you want to apply that to like your first shot? 'Cause that's
Can
what
I-
we've normally done.
Would I do that?
You can't choose after you've rolled. You're supposed to do it before you.
Oh, you don't want me to roll the hits first and then.
Well,
I guess that's
you
true.
can roll
Oh,
them
you're
all,
right.
but you need to
I
pick
see
which
what you're
one.
saying. So you want me to pick before I actually shoot?
Yeah.
So
Right.
the first one then would make the most sense. Okay, so on the first one, I'll do the bowstring. Just that one first and roll it. So that's 3. That's fear. It's a wisdom save.
He might be moving
He,
He's undead.
in fact, isn't.
Magic damage. So do that one. And that is 8 plus 16, 26 magic piercing.
Okay.
The other ones are just straight damage.
26.
26. And then I'm gonna use on. He's already goaded, right? He's like turned until.
He hasn't put his strength yet.
Okay, he's already goaded.
Oh yeah, he should have rolled a disadvantage with that. Or no, that didn't happen.
He attacked
Oh,
Hunter.
yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, he did attack me. So I will do just one. Wait, is he holding something?
He's got Thaddeus grappled by his tentacles.
Well, I mean,
And
okay, but he's
in
not
his
holding a
hand,
weapon.
he's got.
Like I
yeah,
can disarm
it's
him.
not really holding anything.
Okay.
Could you make him drop me?
Did I disarm a person? Or drop an item?
Okay, I'm not mad.
If I trip him, does Thaddeus go prone too?
No, but he would hold on to it. So.
At disadvantage?
No, I mean, if Thaddeus tried to escape, maybe he'd have advantage.
I already had advantage.
Okay, well, I'll just do straight damage and then I'll do a trip attack on the crit. Because that one I can choose whenever I want. So that one, he has to do a strength DC 19. And then.
He fails that, and he
Okay, so
falls
fall
from
prone.
kind of almost bringing Thaddeus with, since he's grappled by the tentacles, but he's straight up.
Yeah, there's a hole in it. 11, 18, 20, 21 plus 20, which is 41, plus 16, which is 57. So 57 piercing. Shouldn't I shoot it with 3 more arrows?
You'll be going to disadvantage
Why disadvantage?
because he's prone now.
Oh, he is prone. It would just be normal. Yeah, I won't do it. Alright, so that's my turn. One more go. And that is me.
Okay.
Nice.
Then as your heroes kind of find their purchase in him, and some go sort of, after they've hit him, they clatter to the ground near him.
We'll just look at arrows.
He stands up, surveys the room, and I need everyone in the room before him to make a intelligence saving throw.
Counterspell.
It's not a spell. He projects his intelligence out through the room, and it sort of echoes through your brains.
So no one but Dawn is close to me to get my bonus, right?
Intelligence saving throw.
Okay.
So Dawn will take, what is your bonus?
Plus 4.
I'm gonna try and chaos this. And I rolled exactly the same thing. So, actually, I think I rolled a. I can't remember what I rolled. It was not that good. It's a fail regardless. I rolled a 1. rolled a 2.
Yeah, I
Twice.
rolled a 6. A 6. I got a.
Dawn, you might also fail, even with your bonus.
I failed.
I got a 50.
15, 8, well, I'm looking at Dawn's sheet. Where is Kubo's? You are looking for an 18.
Oh.
Did anyone beat
I also got a 15. Is Byakko too stupid to get affected by these things?
No, he can be affected by this.
Okay. But I know that I can't affect, or he can't be affected by certain things with intelligence. I should listen to this.
Yeah, plenty.
Aww.
That's Hunter's ritual.
Oh, that's good. I thought it was like, let's make it.
Yep.
How much rupees? How much rupees?
Okay, so did anyone beat an 18?
I don't think
I don't think so.
Okay, then the entire room takes.
Matthew!
Oh no! I just rolled the wrong damage. Cool. That's good.
Get
I
it
checked
together,
that.
Ethan.
Sorry, it was more damage before, so it's good. Good for you guys that I realized.
Only 5.
Plus 12.
Can she uncanny dodge or something?
It's not a.
Yeah.
I tried to. Yeah, it's not melee attack.
53 psychic damage.
Whoa. Okay.
So that actually. There are Dawn Levi's HPs. Eli falls unconscious right on the floor, right
Yeah.
there. Dawn does not look very good. You can see like blood trickling from her eyes and her ears. All of you who took that damage are stunned. As Core then releases Thaddeus and steps back into the darkness out of sight. And you can hear him as he steps into the darkness. He says, "You'll regret not aligning with us when you fail to kill the queen!" And disappears into the darkness.
What about his other buddies?
They're still in view, and actually, let me see if they can this damage. One of them is not, and the other one does. So, let me write that down.
He's also stunned.
If you can do something, you can do
I guess so.
He is stunned.
Dang.
Okay. And then that is Kuor's turn, which brings us to Thaddeus. Let me see. At the end of your turn, you can make a save to try and be unstunned.
Okay, what save is that?
It's intelligence again.
Well, no.
Okay, so Thaddeus kind of is still reeling from the mind blast, and you can see blood trickling from your eyes and ears, and nose, just like the rest. Byakko can make a save, try to be unstunned.
Okay. Alright. He's getting blast. It's an intelligence you said?
Yep.
Oh, she's not going to do that. It's 7 minus 4 or something, so nope.
Doesn't do it. Let's try for Dawn. She's in Thaddeus' aura, so +4. She rolled a 6 on the dice. Harmony.
18.
That passes. So Harmony, you feel the stunning effect dissipate, and you're just able to regain your faculties enough to see that the room is dark beyond Thaddeus' light. Or is
Do I still have my dim light around now?
yes. But that's at the end of your turn, anyways. Then it is Mara, so you can make a save at the end of your turn.
1.
3, 1.
There is
Real, the champions are here.
one of the Warforged who is not stunned takes off in jet boots and rockets off into the darkness by the ceiling, and you hear a crash as a shattered stained glass window rains down on the area. The other Warforged fails his save and is still stunned here. Then it is Eli. Let's see how he does. He rolls a 5.
Oh
Then you have to do
Oh,
dex
actually,
saves,
Eli's unconscious, so that's a fail.
no!
That's
That's yeah! I'm the only one that did
then it is Hunter's turn.
Okay.
You don't want to know
I rolled a 3.
That's the
I
plan.
can't believe none of you passed that.
Yeah,
You
we
can't
do.
believe none of us are passing
None of us have intelligence.
That's
Saving
true.
throw
That's
of
true.
18? I can believe it.
And then Harmony, you're the
I
only
run
one who
over
has.
to Eli and I give him
It's
a
not
basic.
your turn yet. I'm just describing
Oh.
something that you have faculties to perceive, which is arcane words being incanted in the darkness, and then there's a flash of purple light, and then nothing. Then it is Thaddeus' turn. For the sake of Eli, we're going to initiative.
Failed.
Okay.
I need a 14 at least.
Yapko, I'm going to take Yapko out since he can't really help Eli if he passes.
But he can roll a natural.
Dawn.
That's the only way.
I don't think even that like it doesn't count that way.
Dawn,
Saving throws.
you watch, shakes her
Oh,
head,
yeah, no.
and manages to free herself.
Unless you ran next to him.
Stun effect. And then she looks around the room and takes stock and sees Eli sort of like bleeding from his nose like Zach.
Oh yeah, totally. Yeah, exactly. That's like
And it makes to like
The mind boss
move
went through
towards
the gate.
Eli, then it is Harmony's.
But I'm there first, and I'm already putting the killing condition on his mouth.
Okay, go ahead and
the
roll
whole
that.
thing.
2d4 plus?
2d4 plus 2 if it's regular.
Yeah. So 6.
And Eli sort of coughs up blood and sort of turns over as there's a big
I'm
spot
like
of blood.
patting him his back.
And he just sort of like lays back on his back. He looks up at the ceiling and just says, "Thank you, thank you."
Getting one shot.
Thought
I
was
lay
dead."
down next to him.
And then, over the course of the next minute, the rest of you sort of come to your faculties. We'll just see if the Warforged. No, he doesn't escape. So pretty much, you guys can come to your faculties and beat this Warforged to obliterate, to oblivion, or whatever.
You
Yeah, he
can
probably won't talk to
take
us.
parts from him. I know you're looking at them.
No.
It's surprising.
And I think, we still have 10 more minutes. We'll keep going for a little bit. But we end initiative at that point.
Thaddeus, you didn't have to attack him.
I swore that he's part of it.
You almost got us killed. You could have just let him leave. I know that you need to kill him eventually, but we obviously weren't prepared for it today, and look at what it did.
Get him next time.
Dawn has already gone to work preparing healing spells, but you hear her mutter under her breath. She's by Thaddeus and a little ways away from Harmony. But you hear her mutter under her breath, "I would have done it too."
Our fight isn't with them today. We need all of our strength to save this town, and now look at us.
What if we had got him? What if the next time we
Then
saw
he's just gonna come back stronger next time. Thaddy, we don't have the answer. We don't know how to get rid of him yet. It was reckless and stupid, and that coming from me is a lot. We didn't have to fight him today.
well,
He was blocking the path though.
but we weren't going to ally him.
That's for sure.
Yeah.
Of course we weren't.
Dawn will begin casting a spell on. Let's see, how many are in the group? There's 6 total, plus the tiger,
Are we counting Matthew?
not counting Matthew. She's
No,
going
Matthew's
to
fine.
ignore the tiger and cast a spell that takes it takes 10 minutes for her to cast, so she has to sort of incant this prayer over a period of time. But as she's doing it, you feel your cells begin to regain vitality. And let me see, at the level she cast it at, that's an extra 2 weeks.
Does that give us time to take a short rest? For
Not 10 minutes, no.
okay. Will we take one anyways?
Well, she's healing us, so we don't really need to.
Well, I mean,
She, all of you recover
last
19.
things. So
19 hit points, plus, so you'd be
I would have
half
it give it to the tiger then instead of me, and I would just if we can take a short rest, I would just hit that.
We're not taking it for us.
If you direct her to heal the tiger, she can give that to the tiger instead.
Not yet.
Yeah. Whatever.
We can, but not right now.
Thanks,
This is not a safe place to do it. You should use all your efforts in one fight.
I didn't.
And then she goes over to Eli and sort of picks him up off the ground, touches his chest and says, "Don't go falling again." and you can see a shimmering energy ripple out over him, and she casts a death ward on Eli.
Nice.
Nice.
And then, so they all regain 15.
Let's find what it is, whatever it is we're here for, and get out of here.
Is my rat still around?
Yeah, Pinky is still around.
Oh, yeah.
As soon as the wall of force went down, he ran up to you and kind of like climbed into your clothes. You could just hear in his head, hunger, 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 food,
Okay.
hunger.
He knows where the food is all over there.
Well, the bad news is I've exhausted the two easy ways I could think of to find it. So now it's going to be the hard way to find something that I don't even know what it looks like or is.
You haven't even told us really what we're looking for.
That's right. We're looking for memories. I don't know if that's in the form of a journal, an artifact. I don't know what it is. We're looking for the Raven Queen's memories. I thought they'd be here because this is her temple. And this is her city. And I'm told that they are here. They are here somewhere. I just can't find them. And I don't know what else to look for.
Well, there are 4 rooms.
That you can see in the immediate light of the drawn weapons. You can see that there are 4 offshoots from this main entranceway chamber, and each one of them has like iron bar doors. So if you got closer, you could probably peer through and see what's beyond them.
Plenty of places to start looking.
You said is there an upstairs?
From the outside, it looked like there probably was. This main central building has a high enough roof that, and it disappears into darkness, but you would assume that this has the steepled roof of the main building, but there were those 2 towers that towered maybe 150 feet above the rest, off to the right and left of the entranceway.
I'm going to go up the right tower.
Well, you can't see necessarily a way directly to the
Okay.
towers at this point.
Well, I'll start looking for an entrance up the tower.
Yeah.
Okay, so you go off to the right side towards those iron bar doors, and as your light illuminates the area beyond, you can see that contained in there is a very traditional human-style mausoleum. There are graves and plaques and things like that, and you can see that the words on these graves, while there's like a layer of dust all over everything, the words on these graves aren't faded by time too much, and you can see that all of the graves in this chamber beyond, which you can see is maybe like a 20 by 20 foot chamber, seem to be from this family known as the Ward family. And you can see that there's maybe 50 to 100 plaques and things in here that insinuate that there are several people interred in this chamber.
I'm gonna look behind the bars of the other rooms on the other side.
On the left side. The first one you approach on that side, since you have dark vision, you can see into there, and you can see texture differences. So even though you can't see color differences with your dark vision, so you can see that there is like inlaid into the stone plaques. So you can actually read, and you can see that every grave in here is marked with some member of the Cranston family, and you can actually spot 2 of the what look like the least dusty graves bear the names Alice and Thomas Cranston.
I spit on it.
Your spit kind of lands in a pile of dust that just goes up and then settles back down. The next one up along the row is another Ward family tomb, and you can see that there are at least 100 different plaques in here that bear names of the Ward family.
They're prolific.
What about the last one?
As you go up the other side of Thaddeus, you see that the next one up on your side, all the names behind that iron grate bear the name Strawstow, S-T-R-A-H-S-T-O-W, and so do the graves of the next one up from that. And I'll describe something more as you get closer to that end of the room in a moment. Harmony, as you go up the other side, past the Ward family grave, you see the next mausoleum contains only 2 graves. And these 2 are marked by statues, which seem immaculate and not dust-covered compared to the rest of the mausoleums that you've seen. They're almost of this like well-polished, dark black stone. And they appear to be of a male and female elf. You can tell by that they have the pointed ears carved into them. And you can make out that they have kind of the bearings of like warriors. They're not like holding any weapons in their statuesque forms, but they have the chisel, pardon the pun, muscles and things like that of warrior types. And you can see that they have plaques which read Donovan under the male one and Esmeralda under the female one. And then both of you, now that you're at this sort of end of the hallway, you can see that there are wooden doors on both the right and left side of this chamber that they're both closed, and they have like iron handles that would allow them to be pulled open. You don't see any sort of lock or anything like that. And then at the back of the room, there is also another set of double wooden doors with iron handles. And then there is a podium in the center of the room, which has an altar carved with ravens and things like that. And as you sort of survey this part of the room, in the stillness and darkness of the Temple of the Raven Queen, I think that's where we're going to end tonight's episode. We'll pick up there next week. Or not next week, the week after.
The week after.
Yeah, so remember how I said there might be a battle or there might be some interesting role-playing choices? There you go.
What timing for you to get your medical emergency right when Core shows up? You come back and you're like, oh, what?
Yeah.
What happened?
Yeah, I kind of was trying to narrate loud enough for you to hear, but I guess I failed.
I had run water and stuff like
Kind
that.
of
Yeah, sorry.
distracted.
Anyways, thanks to anyone who tuned in. Thanks to you guys for playing. We won't be here next week because we won't have our sorcerer, and it's kind of a critical point, so we don't want to move on without her. But we'll be back the week after that with more Antiheroes Anonymous. In the meantime, you can catch the VOD on Twitch immediately after this, or on YouTube on Wednesday. And we do hope to see you back soon. Hope you enjoyed. Thanks for watching. Bye.
Bye.